Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Trash TV Live, and I'm very excited about our guest today. I'm joined by Madge from Syd.31. Hello Madge, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Now, I'm really excited because I've heard some of the new stuff, and I literally didn't know what to do with myself physically. I didn't know if I was going to trash my house or just whoops of joy, because it just reminded me again of everything from, well, it reminded me of growing up. So Sex Pistols,
Yep.
Depeche Mode,
Yep.
The Prodigy,
Defo.
Marilyn Manson,
Very much so.
just everything in there, and it honestly, it was a sheer joy. and you've got a really interesting journey on how you got where you are now, because you've actually been producing, writing music for a long time, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I've been doing music for myself since the 90s, just with a beat-up guitar and really crap vocals. I started writing music to help me overcome alcohol and other addictions after I'd overdosed. The doctor says, why don't you take up a hobby? So I took up a guitar. Within 6 weeks, I'd formed a punk band with some friends, and we started gigging all over the place.
And where was that?
That was in Hull, right on the other side. I hadn't been in the UK very long at that time.
Because you actually grew up in
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Wowzers. And so, and when did you make the move over here?
I came over to the UK in 1991, and it was a bit of a culture shock, and I was a bit overwhelmed by everything. Started getting into a lot of punk bands when I came over to the UK.
Yeah.
A lot of metal and a lot of alcohol as well. So I was pretty messy, but I sorted my life out after a few years and started songwriting.
And what were your influences musically when you mentioned some of those bands? Who was it that you were listening to and sort of got you going?
It's an interesting question because time is always moving, there's always new bands coming out, and I was pretty geeky, and I'd missed most of the 80s living abroad, so I was always going back, oh, what have I missed? So while people would be listening to the contemporary artists, I was listening to stuff from the past. So at the time when I formed my punk band, if anyone remembers the Freaks Union, they were fucking great. I was into Discharge, Misfits, Exploited, like all the hardcore UK 82 stuff, because it's like that sort of stuff. But I wanted to mix that in with Depeche Mode as well, because I love my 80s. But a lot of Zimbabwean influence, a lot of music over there is very percussion based.
Yes.
And it causes you to dance when you hear all them drums, especially laid up, and like you can't do anything but fucking dance. So I'm mixing that up.
Because you can hear that in your music. You can hear that Zimbabwean influence as well.
I can't deny. I cannot deny the roots. I owe so much to Africa and those rhythms. Some people will go, hey, let's have a bit of that, keep quiet about it, but Zimbabwean music is a huge influence on me.
And so your music became a therapy for you as you went through some really dark times, some tough times. And so how did you get out the other side to where we are now?
It's an interesting question. The Freaks Union stuff was fantastic. We hit we just seemed to arrive just as things like Green Day, Rancid, Offspring here, and we were like gigging all over the place.
And that was huge.
It was fucking huge.
Those days were massive.
Unfortunately, I relapsed and became a bit of a mess, and then I decided I've got to sort my head out. So I went back to university. I went back as an adult learner. I went for a career for a bit, but still kept writing songs just for a laugh. And then a few years ago, I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do music again.
Good.
It was just an urge. No one was doing music like what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear those rhythms, I wanted to hear the drums, I wanted to hear everything, I wanted to fucking dance. I'd been going to loads of raves, I've been going to loads of punk gigs, metal gigs. No one was mashing it together, so I thought, it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
So you thought you're going to do it. Yeah. And are you doing that? Are you able to do that full time, or you still got a job whilst you're doing the music?
The full time thing, I've been offered and asked to do stuff like that before, and I won't give up the day job because I'm really fortunate. I enjoy my day job. It gives me a lot of security. It brings in a lot of money, and that gives me personally a lot of freedom. If I did this music as a full time job, I'd find it frightening because I've got to pay the mortgage, I've got to pay the rent, and sometimes you've got to do some really shitty things to make sure the rent gets paid.
Yeah,
and I don't want to do. Yeah, and I don't want to do that.
Performer.
Right now, because I've got a dedicated income, I can get a fucking huge loan from the bank and go, boom, there's all my electronic gear, and I can do that. If I'm a self-employed musician, you can't do that.
I love that. I love that. I've got to ask. I know I sort of spoke about your musical influences, but what I really love about you, from not just listening to your music, but seeing your photo shoots.
Yeah.
You've just got an aesthetic and a theatrics that I just love. And I've always had a soft spot, and being a bit of an actor and dramatic myself, you know, I've always had a soft spot for sort of the Alice Cooper and you know, right up to Marilyn Manson, because I like that. I like a different look and that theatrics. Was that what prompted that, or has that always been something? You know, have you always felt like you wanted to stand out and make it a whole performance as well, visually, not just
it sounds really arrogant, go like, I don't dress like anyone else, I'm a diva. But it's like an evolutionary thing. I've liked my punk rock, and they were very sort of like, I dress like this because you hate me, you're going to hate me anyway, so fuck you. That has always been an influence, especially Sex Pistols, even like Misfits, and then you got the hardcore punk stuff. But for myself, quite often I just wore baggy t-shirts, baggy jeans, get sweaty in a club. But as I was doing more and more music and messing around with the dressing up box, I found that people dig that vibe more. So the more I did that, the more people liked it. So now the live shows, the live visuals, I think I'm giving people exactly what they want, whether they realise it or not. And it's something as a fan, because I'm a fan of music first, something as a fan, it's like, no one ever goes, let's go hear a band tonight. It's always, let's go see a band. You want to see someone put an effort on, you see it. You judge a band within the first 30 seconds, or a performer within the first 30 seconds. Sometimes you can dress down, because it's like, hey, I'm going to be intimate, I'm going to do something soft. That works too. You don't have to be over the top to get the right message across. But for me,
I love it.
Within 3 or 4 seconds of me being on stage, you know exactly what's going to happen to your ears. There's no two ways about it.
Well, with those songs, and I'm lucky to have heard some unreleased tracks, what are you going to do with them this year now? Are we going to hear an album? Are we going to see some live gigs from you?
Yes.
Brilliant.
The album is called Walk Amongst Rebels, and I think it sums up my life experiences. It's a very biographical album.
That's a big departure for you. So you've gone from sort of almost agitprop to now something very personal, and themes like that have affected you with suicide and other loss. So it's quite a departure for you, isn't it?
I'll be quite honest, it's been quite difficult talking about certain themes over the last few years. I've looked back at my life and I've lost friends through suicide, I've lost going through people with difficulties and seeing people cope with losses, and I'm at the healthiest now I've ever been. I don't drink, don't do drugs, don't smoke, and I've got clarity of my mind, and it's enabled me to listen to myself, my feelings, more than I've ever done before. Before I was always like railing against the bad guys, it's always them guys, but now I'm listening to myself and my own experiences. I think one of the ways I can best describe it is, somebody that's not easily scared will watch the most horrific horror movies because they can watch it and it doesn't harm them as much. For myself, because I'm in control of my own mind and emotions a lot more, I can focus on some of the losses I've been through. One of the tracks on the album is about talking somebody down. They're a partner of mine, talking somebody down from a bridge. They became ill, they just wanted to end it all. I was in my 20s, and it's how do you talk to someone about don't kill yourself in that moment? It's terrifying. Now I'm older, I can digest that. Another track on there is about my mum, the night that my dad passed away. They'd been together decades, they still loved each other right to the very end. And hearing my mum cry all the way through the night and calling out for my dad's name, how do you cope with that? How do you digest it? If I was still drunk and such an angry person, I probably wouldn't focus on that. But those emotions are what are inside us all, and I want to focus on that.
So actually, this time for you now is a very personal time, but it's a very exciting time.
Oh, it really
because you've
is.
got some great new music and some live gigs. And so where can our viewers find you online, social media?
Social media. Facebook is normally the best, boo Facebook, but I find the format best because you can have a chat with me. Other social media like Twitter, it's always like, do this, I'm doing this, and it's a bit like, yeah. But social media, I can have conversations. So we're on there, check us out on Syd.31. Check out my YouTube videos as well.
And it's Syd.31, but it's Syd SYD, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Man, I can't wait for you lot to hear these tracks. You're going to love it. Now, before we let you go,
Yes.
you are worthy of signing the Trash TV live table. Come on.
Are you doing the punk stereotype and ask me to vandalise something?
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
I'm interested to see what you're going to do.
Gold.
Yes, that's exactly what I was expecting and hoping for.
Syd.31 loves you.
Oh, we love you too. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Over and out. Ta.